Wasn't as smooth as they'd have liked. After leading for all three quarters, the wheels kind of came off for LA in the fourth as the Warriors went on to win 121-114. LeBron and AD both had over 30 points, but Westbrook finished with only 8 points in his Lakers debut. And afterward, LeBron said he's not worried at all about Russ, chalking it up to, quote, first game jitters. We're now joined by First Things First co-host Chris Broussard. So, Chris, how do you explain Westbrook's poor start here?
Jen, I think it's simple. For the first time in Russell Westbrook's 13-year career, one of two things was not true. He didn't have the ball in his hands primarily, so he wasn't able to be ball dominant, do what he wants, and have everybody around him play off him. Or the lane was not open. The one time in his career where he didn't have the ball in his hands, he was in Houston, right? And Harden had the ball. What did the Rockets do? They traded away Clint Capella, their center, so the lane would be wide open. All right, so Russ, even though he didn't have the ball, at least when he got it, he could drive. All right, last night, the lane was clogged. You saw those highlights. Golden State had several defenders in the paint, or Dwight Howard or DeAndre Jordan or Anthony Davis was in the paint, so Russ didn't have the driving lanes. And those are tough adjustments to make when you can't shoot. And Russ can't shoot. And so, they can talk all they want. And LeBron said it, and Frank Vogel said it after the game. We want Russ to be Russ. We want Russ to be aggressive. Russ being Russ is having the ball in his hands, right? And everybody playing off him. That's not what's best for the Lakers. The Lakers are smart. We see LeBron is doing what he does, and he's got the ball for the most part. That's good for the Lakers. The best way for the Lakers to play is through LeBron and AD, and everybody else, including Russ, you get yours off of them. And they're going to have to figure out how to play off of LeBron and AD because that's what's best for the team. Guys, look, this big three, it is a big three. I expect Russ to be named onto this all-top 75 players of all-time team within the next 2 days. So it's a big three, but they're all not going to average 20 or more points. And Russ is going to be the one that's out. Yeah. I think Russ might average 17 points, maybe even 16 points a game. And he's going to have to adjust to being the third fiddle. And now, when he and LeBron, I think they need to stagger their minutes. Let Russ have that second unit. Then he can be Russ. And then when LeBron's out there with him, he can get his, push it in transition, get early offense. But in the half court, it's got to kind of be LeBron's decision-making. So that's what I think needs to happen. And if Russ can accept that, then it can eventually work over time as they get used to each other. But if he can't, if he's like, man, I got to get my numbers, I got to shine, just as much as LeBron and AD or close to it at least, then it could be problematic.
I agree with everything you said, but I also believe he was pumped up. I mean, he grew up in L.A., purple and gold Lakers. If you grew up in L.A., Lakers is it. He saw the parades. He saw the championships. He saw Shaq and Kobe. Yep. So that's, he knows that. So now I'm here. I'm in purple and gold. I'm the starting point guard, even though it might be a name only, Skip, but I'm starting for my hometown team. That means a lot to him. And we already know that Russ plays close to the edge. He plays on a mission. He's always...
He has last night.
Right. Yeah. He's always been bull in China shop, Skip. So he's always playing, but he can't play like that now because for the first time in his career, he has two guys that are better than him. Russ has never been the third option. Russ has never been the third best player. I don't believe at any level he's ever played where he's the third best player on his team.
He might have been in OKC early on, but he wouldn't know that. Because Harden's coming off the bench.
Treat him like he was second.
Yes.
Right. So, and you're right, but it's going to be difficult. And it's hard, Skip. It's hard when you played one way. I take myself, Skip, being in Denver, knowing I'm going to get 5, 6, 7 targets a game, and then going to Baltimore knowing that I might get 1, might get 2.
But you can be big play Shay. So your ego is okay.
That was it, right? Skip. Okay. But I was like, okay, when I get my opportunity, Chris, I just got to cash it in. I'm not going to get these opportunities where I get a chance to get 100-yard games because John is feeding me the ball. We're a running team. We're playing for 1 to 2 plays a game, and we're going to turn it over to our defense. But you have to be willing to accept that role.
But your ego is still intact.
Yeah.
You're fine because you're going to get your big play Shay play.
Because,
right?
Skip, I felt that if me winning a championship would do more for my resume than me putting up numbers, because I know I can put up numbers, but I've always put up numbers.
Yep.
Winning a championship, because now I'm winning a championship and I don't have John as my quarterback. I don't have Mike Shanahan as my head coach.
Yep.
So that's going to be saying something about, okay, well, he possesses leadership skills. But I just think Russ is going to have to find a way. Like you said, I believe the second unit stagger their minutes, and Russ is going to have to accept, I'm not going to be the Russell of old. I'm not going to be Russ in OKC. I'm not going to be him in Houston. I'm not going to be him with Washington. For the last 5 years, triple-double, Skip, that's a thing of the past. And I think he's going to have to accept that. I think 15, 7-7 might be more realistic. Might be something that I think is attainable for him, Chris.
Good.
But AD and Bron is going to have to be where it's the bread is buttered. But we can't have 8, 9 other guys just have single digits. I don't get. You can't. They got 67 and 22, but nobody else scored in double figures.
Okay, but the focal point is on number 0.
He understands
Right?
that.
Well, he's going to have to accept it.
He understands that, Skip.
So, to me, I saw Russell Westbrook last night for the first time face an identity crisis on the basketball floor. He has been under fire, often from me. I've called him nothing but a solo act stat machine, and I love to watch him, but he does not fit with LeBron and AD.
Right.
So he goes out last night like, I'm going to show you, but usually when it's I'm going to show you, it's 1,000 miles an hour to the basket.
Right.
He had to show me or others, I got to be tentative. I got to be uncertain. I got to be not quite myself. He was damned if he did and damned if he did not, because these are adjectives I never thought I would associate with Russell Westbrook, because he had to show the world last night, watch this, I can defer to LeBron. I can sacrifice. And he did for the most part, and it was kind of hard to watch because his body language was so unsure of what he was doing. And when he did drive it, he drove it sort of 75%-ish, and then he's begging for calls that he's not going to get because it didn't look like the same old Russ going to the hoop. Right?
And another thing, Chris, there's no way Anthony Davis can play damn near 39 minutes and not have a foul. That's unacceptable. Skip, how you play 39 minutes and you don't have one foul? You mean to tell me you ain't hacked one person, you didn't run over one person, you didn't get one charge? I need more. I need more out of AD, because I know he got it in him too. And he gonna give me more. Guess what? He gonna give me more.
So what did I tell you about Russell Westbrook earlier in this show? He needs to turn into Manu Ginobili, because Popovich convinced Manu
To come off the bench.
to really kind of mid-career, you got to lead our shock troops. And he was the best at it. He would come in mid-first quarter and change the game.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, the second unit was the shock troops.
Right.
Led by Manu, who played 1,000 miles an hour, often out of control, like Russ plays. But he would make things happen. He would change the whole tenor and flow of the game. Well, that's what Russ needs to do, but he's not going to accept that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not going to swallow that.
Russ gonna come off the bench, Chris.
Yeah, hey, you remember when Melo was first brought up to Melo in OKC?
Right. Yeah.
He was like, yo, P, they want me to come off the bench. I think that's how Russ would be. I think, look, and I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier, I also was stunned that they started DeAndre Jordan. I mean, when I saw them put that team out there, I was like,
what?
You got one shooter in Bazemore who's pretty good shooter. Now, obviously, LeBron was on fire.
Right.
And if that's really the new LeBron, I mean, then all bets are off. But, I think he's going to come back to the mean, probably shoot 36, 37% from three. So I was surprised that they had so little shooting on the floor. But they were big. And that size can be a problem for teams. But I don't think they played big offensively. And so they couldn't guard. We know they've been a great defensive team. But they couldn't guard Golden State, which was much smaller, but there was constant player movement, constant ball movement. And the reason the Lakers were up early was just because Golden State was missing shots. It wasn't because of great Laker defense. It was because they were missing shots, and Steph really never got hot all night. And so if they're going to go big, then I think they need to play big and punish teams inside, wear them down, and things like that. Or otherwise, Put AD at the 5, which I don't think is a bad idea. LeBron theoretically at the 4, and, you know, and go smaller so you can at least stick with these teams that are going to be constantly moving and shooting the 3.
Well, AD definitely should have played the 5 last night. Now, if you want to play somebody like Philly and you want to put DeAndre Jordan or start Dwight Howard on Joel Embiid so he doesn't eat up all the energy from AD, okay, I agree with that. If you want to put him on if you want they play Valanciunas, so they play a big like that, Skip, and you want somebody so they don't exhaust AD on the offensive end, okay, I agree with that. But when you start Kevon Looney, if AD can't hold his own against Kevon Looney without getting tired, well, I don't know what to tell you.
So, Chris, back to your man and Shannon's man, LeBron James. You said he was very hot-handed. He was on a rare hot streak, at least until the fourth quarter. But I want to remind everyone that LeBron wound up taking 11 threes last night. Last year, he averaged a career-high 6.3 three-point attempts